Greetings, welcome everybody to my 11th key, my final key. My cat wants to join us. That's Rufus. My 11th key on how I overcame borderline personality disorder and healed after narcissistic abuse. Again, I was also diagnosed with bipolar disorder type 2. And this is my 11th key to plant spirit medicine. So let's just get right into it. All right, so white men go into churches to talk about Jesus, while indigenous men go into teepees to talk with Jesus with plant spirit medicine. And this is a quote from Dennis McKenna. It says, "It is no wonder that plant spirit medicine is threatening to an authoritarian religious hierarchy. You don't need faith to benefit from a plant spirit medicine ceremony, let alone a priest, pastor, or even a shaman to interpret the experience for you. What you need is courage. Courage to eat the mushroom, drink the brew, or whatever it is. And suddenly the tools for direct contact with the transcendental other, some may call it God or something else, is taken from the hands of the anointed elite and given to the individual seeker." So I'm just going to briefly go over some plant spirit medicines, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experience with plants and how it's changed my life and healed me from my childhood trauma. First of all, first medicine on my list is cannabis, also known as marijuana. It's known by many different names. And we all are familiar with THC. That's the component of cannabis that gives you the high. But in recent years, CBD has taken the center stage for healing. The human body has the human endocannabinoid system, and that's a network of receptors spread throughout the entire human body that control some of our most vital life functions, including our immune system, memory, appetite, sleep pattern, mood, and pain sensation. CBD, or cannabidiol, assists with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, PTSD, CPTSD, asthma, hypertension, Crohn's disease, IBS, various cancers, migraines, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, depression, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis. The list goes on and on. I think the most beautiful thing about CBD is that it makes cancer cells commit suicide. And the human body has evolved with this plant over thousands and thousands of years, and it's made its way into the human body, and I think that's so beautiful. Also there's magic mushrooms, the muscaria, Amanita muscaria mushrooms. That's what makes reindeers fly. Psilocybin cubensis, that's really effective at helping cancer patients. A lot of people who've taken these mushrooms say that it's the most powerful experience they've ever had in their life, next to having their first child, for example. It's that memorable for them. And there's an ancient sect of Christianity called the Gnostics that actually believed that the Jesus Christ was a mushroom. I'm not sure if I believe that, but I do believe that it is possible to commune with the Christ spirit on these sacred mushrooms. Next is probably one of my favorites next to cannabis, and that's San Pedro or Chuma. Chuma is the indigenous people's name for it. It means unlock the head. And San Pedro, when Catholicism took over that area of South America, San Pedro, or Saint Peter, is the man who holds the keys to heaven. It's called the grandfather plant, and it's a very masculine plant. It's a heart-opening plant. Very beautiful medicine. It's the cactus cousin to peyote. It's a lot more gentler and milder than peyote. Peyote, sometimes you might get sick. You might still get sick on San Pedro as well, but it's less likely. And there's a book, I've met this author by Travis Bodick, The Plant Remedy, and it goes over how to prepare San Pedro. So I highly recommend you check out that book. It has other extremely useful knowledge in that book. The other medicine that I did to overcome, I did San Pedro as well as ayahuasca during my retreat to heal from my childhood trauma. And that's ayahuasca. Ayahuasca, aya meaning soul, huasca meaning ropey vine, means vine, my voice, vine of the dead or vine of souls. It's an entheogic brew, and entheogen means genetic means, here I'll just show you the word, it means God within, so it creates the God within, made with the vine and other ingredients, but typically a lot of people use all sorts of different ingredients, but typically it's just 2 ingredients. The vine, which is an MAOI, that allows the medicine, the magical component or the divine component is from the chacruna leaves. That has the DMT in it, but if you just had the leaves and nothing else, your body would break it down. It has to be able to cross the blood-brain barrier, and the vine allows that to happen through the MAOI. Blood tests of long-term ayahuasca users have been shown to have an increased density of serotonin receptors compared to those who do not use ayahuasca. It should be mentioned that SSRI class of antidepressants such as Paxil, Zoloft, and Prozac actually reduce the density of serotonin receptors in users over time, which can lead to chronic depression. Ayahuasca is non-addictive, and it is not a neurotoxin or poisonous to the nerve tissue or, the brain or spinal column in any way. And I've heard it been said that ayahuasca puts into order the mind, body, and spirit with the past, present, and future. Here's another, I didn't type out the name of it. That's the iboga, the little orange that's not in color. But the iboga plant, or ibogaine, is a psychoactive alkaloid naturally occurring in the West African shrub iboga. It's been said how iboga, or ibogaine, was discovered as a shaman's wife ate a hedgehog, and the hedgehog was eating this plant. And when the shaman's wife prepared this hedgehog for dinner, they started experiencing intense things. They say with ayahuasca, you're going out into the dimensions, and ibogaine is going in through your ancestral lineage. Ibogaine treats not only alcohol addiction, but also methadone, opioid, and heroin addiction. Ibogaine is an addiction interrupter. Heroin interacts with receptors in the brain, and ibogaine effectively cleans out those receptor sites and returns those receptor sites back to their pre-heroin state. It removes the withdrawal and craving symptoms. This medicine also allows the user to experience a psychedelic state that allows insight to why they became an addict in the first place. And there's so many more. There's so many more plant spirit medicines, you guys. Those are just a few. And I forgot to show you, I actually have some San Pedro here, some Uchuma. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? I have to put my glove on because it's prickly. But that's San Pedro cactus. Nature is the garment of the Almighty. When you tap into nature, you're really tapping into God and into that intelligence and love and force and healing that comes with it. Why it's so important to have these plant spirit medicines is ecstasy is required for spiritual health. The duty of medicine is to nourish the spirit. And brings me to my really, if you take anything away from this video, it's that plant spirit medicine unlocks neural pathways in the brain. And what that means is PTSD or complex PTSD, and that's really all that mental illness really is, essentially. It's when your brain is wired a certain way, and when you commune with these plant spirit medicines, science doesn't really know how it happens, but it unlocks those neural pathways. So it's a control alt delete. Your brain, body, and spirit and soul are renewed. So it's not like, it's complex PTSD is a nightmare. And, it's easy to say, oh, just stop feeling that way, or it's over, it's done with, move on. Usually the person suffering wants to move on with all their heart, but they're just not able to do so, and that was the case with me. I sought out these plant medicines because I had severe suicidal ideation, and I really sought San Pedro and ayahuasca to help that, and it totally did. Immediately after, I felt a huge relief. And I think that was the neural pathways just let go. It was such a relief not to. And I went to these medicines, if it helps with my anxiety and depression, great. But really, it was just the suicide. I could not live anymore trying to plan out my suicide. And it was totally effective at treating that. Not only am I not suicidal, I'm completely complex PTSD free. I have days where I'm sad, of course, but the depression is totally gone. Praise God. It's totally gone, my depression. My hopelessness is gone. I feel my identity return. I had a connection to my true self. And that's so powerful because that's also what borderline personality disorder really is. It's a lack of connection to a true self. So I'm extremely grateful to these medicines that were put here on this earth by our Creator to help us not only evolve our consciousness, but also heal past traumas and get over certain things in our life, and so we can move forward and walk in our path and our soul calling. If you're considering doing these plant spirit medicines, I'd recommend doing it holistically, and what I mean by that is taking the masculine and the feminine approach. So the masculine approach would be doing research, doing things in the physical world, asking people about their experiences, doing all their, reading books, watching YouTube videos, making contact with different retreat centers, but then also acknowledge the feminine side, which means pray, ask Spirit or God to show you what medicine would help, or if God thinks that medicine would be good for you, to have a conversation with God as well. I have a whole bunch of books here, but I forgot to. Yeah, well, I guess we'll just talk about. These are really great books that talk about plant spirit medicine. The Cosmic Serpent by Jeremy Narby. It talks a little bit about the twin beings, and I met my twin flame during ayahuasca, so that's a super interesting book. I highly recommend it. Anybody who's wanting to become more serious in their shamanism journey, I highly recommend Eliot Cowan's book, Plant Spirit Medicine. I've read it twice now. It's such an amazing book, great read, tons of useful, practical information. The teachings of Don Juan, you learn about peyote. I'm just now beginning this book, but I'm already blown away with what I've read. There's DMT, the Soul Prophecy. DMT is the psychoactive component of ayahuasca. It's a great book. And I saw this author at the University of British Columbia Plant Spirit Medicine Conference, Joe Tafur. Yeah, The Fellowship of the River. Great book. A lot of people email me saying how to prepare medicines or how to acquire San Pedro, or what retreats should I go to. And really, you have the same resources that I have. I'm studying currently right now to become a certified plant spirit medicine woman, or a medicine woman. But I'm not certified yet. But in the meantime, you have the same access to knowledge as I do. You have the, libraries or Googling stuff, or I would highly recommend that book, The Plant Remedy by Travis Bodick. I've met him before. This is really, I think this is where you should start. Honestly, it's really a practical guide. And San Pedro is a medicine that you can do at home without a shaman. It's total love and light. There's no danger or no scariness with it at all. But you have this. Do your research. Reach out to facilities. The place that I went to is shut down now. I went to ayahuasca healings retreat, and that brings me to my next point. The twin flame couple that ran that retreat center also has Sacred Mythic Journey. Mythic Journey, yeah. They have retreats all over the world, in Bolivia, and I know them and I trust them. But what's best for me may not be best for you. I wouldn't recommend just doing what I did. It's really, each journey is unique and personal, and you have to find your own healing journeys. I'm happy to help if you have any questions. My email will be down below. But each journey is unique. Much love to everyone. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm very passionate about plant spirit medicine, so if you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. I hope you enjoyed my song at the beginning. It was an Icaro. Shamans believe that that's not really the medicine that heals, it's the plant spirit medicine songs, the Icaros, that do the healing. I hope you enjoyed that. Much love, and I'll see you in my next video.